What's going on, y'all? I want to hop on here and talk to y'all because there's a misconception that you need a sales team of 10 to 20 people in order to create a $100,000 a month or $200,000 a month business. This is not true, and I really want to get into it. About a month ago, I told you guys about how I started implementing AI and autoresponders into my business, and I want to talk about, I guess, the results that I've kind of seen from that. Now, when it comes to appointment setting, I'm working with warm inbound leads. Now, a large majority of the time, what we were doing is just going out and outbounding more and more volume and trying to make sure that we had more and more people on the phone outbounding volume to try and then qualify these leads and get them booked onto a calendar. The thing is, setting up AI has allowed us to essentially cut down our outbound volume and work a little bit more on efficiency. We have autoresponders going out, and these people are essentially telling us, yes, I am ready to get on the phone. And because of that, instead of outbounding 100 dials, 200 dials, 300 dials a day, we only might have to make 20, 30 dials a day to book in, at a 10 to 15% rate. So these things, literally just based on implementing that into my business, I have probably booked in about 5 times, maybe 5 to 10 times more calls, more efficiently than, us literally just outbounding. Now, the next step that I'm going to start implementing is auto booking for qualification calls. Now, typically, we wouldn't necessarily do this before, and it is something that I'm trying to split test. So the biggest thing with this whole funnel and everything that we're developing is what it really comes down to is split testing what works and what doesn't work, right? Figuring out from a perspective of efficiency in comparison to volume, right? Quality over quantity. In the high ticket space, it only comes down to the quantity of quality leads that you have. If you have a high quantity of high quality leads, you guys are likely going to close like $1 million a month. But the thing is, unfortunately, a large majority of people in life are average, and well, that's why they're called average, but a large majority of people in life are average, and because of that, they're not necessarily quality leads. A lot of people don't think outside the box, and most people aren't necessarily willing to invest a significant amount of money into certain things unless there's a clear benefit for them, for one. 2, you have a solution to a pain that they have, and 3, they actually have the capital to be able to invest into whatever solutions you're offering. Sometimes, obviously, there's people that might not necessarily have the capital, but because they're so qualified from a pain perspective and a problem perspective, you have the ability to then get them to figure it out on their own, right? There's some people that are willing to do that. Essentially, I'm going through a period of time right now where I'm trying to scale horizontally as well as vertically, right, by doing more volume and bringing on more team members. But what we're trying to solidify is essentially building out a team that works based on efficiency, right? You don't need people taking 5 to 10 calls a day. If you have 3 to 4 qualified calls a day on your calendar, you have 4 calls a day qualified on your calendar, and you have your team focusing on the quality of those calls that they're taking, that is, put into perspective, about 75% of those people show up. That's 3 calls. If you can close at a 30% rate, well, you're closing 1 deal a day, right? Now, obviously, these are numbers on a much lower scale, and as you scale in volume, the quality decreases. It's just a given. It's like in e-commerce, right? The more money that you spend on ads, the higher your CPA is going to go. It is very difficult to scale without seeing some sort of ad fatigue or decrease in quality and increase in CPA, because you're spending more and more money, right? Now, it's the same thing with people that you're getting on the phone with. If you have 10 calls a day and 5 of them are hyper qualified and 2 of them are very qualified, well, you're going to invest more time in those 2 qualified leads than trying to close the additional 3 leads that were also hyper qualified but just not ready to move forward, right? It's kind of just how the game works, right? You have to think about the efficiency of your team, the people that are on your team, and the time that they're investing into certain things, right? At the end of the day, the numbers will still shake out in a profitable manner, granted that you guys are making sure that the leads that are booked on the calendar are properly qualified. Now, when it comes to a proper discovery script, right? And a lot of people hop online, talk about ChatGPT, talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and put all these things together, but don't actually have the proper business understanding to be able to look at what AI or artificial intelligence has created and use your own human judgment to make use of that to the best ability possible, right? At the end of the day, AI is basing things off of theory, right? And off of what is out there and online, and not necessarily always based off common sense. So you have to be able to read it and create a flow and a structure that essentially makes sense to the average human. So the most important part, hands down, in any sales call, in any of this stuff, any high ticket space, anything that you guys are doing, is to find what is the most, is to find, let me rephrase, hands down, the most important thing is essentially the discovery, right? And figuring out your customers' pain points, your clients' pain points, and where you could actually provide a service. It is not everybody that you close that is going to be a qualified lead and a good client, right? And because of that, it's going to put you in a situation of liability. So you have to understand, this person is qualified, they can close. Are you willing to take on the liability? Or are you willing to stop wasting your time and actually talk to the right person, right? So there's two ways to look at it. And there's a common misconception behind it, because sometimes, you know, cash-wise, there is a time where in your business, especially if you're just starting out, you might take on the lesser qualified people and give yourself the headache in order to acquire the budget to bring on the higher quality people. Now, where do you kind of position yourself in this agency game? And you guys have to think about this from a certain perspective, right? If you're to invest money into having an infrastructure built out, you have to understand that this infrastructure is essentially going to generate a profitable return regardless, right? At the end of the day, in the agency space, you're playing with larger quantities of money, so there's more money that is readily available. Even if you guys, let's say, don't have 10K in your bank account, you might have 5K, you could still go out, spend 5K to acquire a 10K client, or spend 2,500 to acquire a 10K client. I know a lot of people and a lot of agency owners that have about a $2,000 to $3,000 cost per acquisition on a 10 to 15K offer, right? So you as an agency owner have to think about this to yourself and think from a different perspective. If you are just starting out right now and you're not doing well and you're not making at least $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, maybe $30,000 a month, what happens is mentally you have not seen that kind of money. So because of that, you have not unlocked the brain capacity. Sorry, that was kind of rude, but you haven't unlocked the actual brain capacity or understanding of what it looks like to generate that kind of money and what it takes to generate that kind of money. Once you do it, a switch flips and you understand the risk versus reward when you go through these things. It was like when I was in e-commerce and I was first starting out with some dropshipping stores. I did not understand what it was like to make a certain amount of money. And over time, once I started to see results with my stores, I started to understand the strategy behind it, how it worked, and understood my numbers better, to the point that, you know, it might have taken me 1 out of 30 products to hit in order for me to generate something that was profitable. But because I started to see what profitable numbers looked like, it got engraved into my mind as far as a strategy and as a process. So what happens is, it puts me in a position now where I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, cool, this looks familiar. Let me do this, right? Let me implement XYZ. And after doing that, it put me in a position where I'm starting to hit 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, right? And obviously you're not always gonna go 5 for 5, but it comes down to optimization. You could even go like 9 for 10, or even pretty close to 10 for 10 as an agency owner in terms of success rate, right? But you have to think about this. As an agency owner, there is only one service that you're providing. There's only one service that you're offering. So you have to go 1 for 1. And how are you gonna do that? It comes down to optimizing your offer, guarantee, price point, services, how much liability you're willing to take on, what it actually takes from you to do that, how big is the market that you're investing in. Those are the things that you have to take into account as an agency owner in order to generate something for yourself that is going to be successful. So y'all keep that in mind. Link to the free Discord in the description down below. Join me, we could talk about PIFs and everything it takes to PIF. So yeah, hit me in the chat. And that'll bring us to the end of the video, guys. And as always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Peace.